We've all made mistakes, big, small, somewhere in the middle, outlandish, ones you can just kind of step over and ignore. We've all made those errors. How you respond to them, how you handle them, how you grow from them, all of those things really are a matter of persona. So I want to share with you two tales of an ad gone terribly wrong. Hello there. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. For those of you who I've not yet met in person, my name is Amber and I'm a maker of legends, like for reals. So it's that time again. Grab your legend pack, crank that speaker to 11. Welcome to Legend. We've all had those mistakes, those bad decisions, those decisions we thought were really spot on in the moment and then turned out not so much. We've also had those decisions that we make because they are being driven by completely, I don't want to say wrong, but certainly not great agenda behind them. When I had been in business for about 3 months, I'd been a part of corporate for 10, 11 years before that, and I had just jumped. And I had an opportunity to place an ad. Some of you may have heard this story before. I encourage you, listen to it this time and see if you can tell the difference. So I bought an ad. It's about a third page ad in a big magazine, business magazine. And I designed it myself. I spent more than I should have. I believe it was $1,200 at the time. And having been in business for 3 months, not necessarily great, but I really, really wanted to place this ad. I really wanted to be seen in this magazine. And my entire drive to place this ad was because I had just left corporate and I wanted to show them and show everybody I can totally play with the big dogs. I can run this way. This is me. That I'm totally corporate. I can totally do this. I belong here. It really was a positioning piece. That ad was terrible. I designed it myself. It was pretty. It really was pretty. But there's a huge difference between design for profit and design for ego, design for positioning. And this ad was really pretty. And it did not have anything to do with my ideal audience. There was not a great call to action. It was certainly not clear. Nearly 16 years later, I have yet to receive a single call from that ad. It was awful. And really, when I look back at it all these years later, I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. Not only did I not, I mean, and in part because I was doing it for the wrong reasons, because I was doing it as an ego boost, because I was doing as it, see, I told you I could be here. I'm real. I'm official. That's part of why I didn't take into consideration is my ideal audience at the other end of this. What do I want them to do? How am I showing up? How am I positioning myself in this business quarterly magazine? How am I positioning myself in this community and in this world? None of that. I didn't think about any of that. I thought I just need to get this ad. I want to make sure my logo's on there, make sure my phone number's on there, and get it out because I'm announcing this is me. I'm here. So part of, I believe, because I can look back and think, here's all the mistakes I made. Here's the things I didn't do. My ideal audience, a clear message, a clear call to action, none of those things came into consideration. I think now that at least it is part of that can be attributed to the fact that I was doing it in a way that was not aligned with who I am. I am not a person who has to prove myself to anyone. It's out of alignment with my values. So I can look at that ad and think, oh man, I totally screwed up. It's a lot of money for not a single phone call. Really expensive lesson learned. Not only to ask all those important questions, whether you're going to a networking event, a conference, attending a Zoom call. I mean, is it worth your 3 hours? Are your people there? Do you have a clear message? Do you have something specific you want to share? All those things that need to come into play, and I left them all out. Now, here's how the story ends. I went in person to pay my bill and met one of the guys I was on a panel with there because that was part of it. There was an ad and a panel. And I met one of the men and had a really great conversation. I'm like, this is what I did, it's all good. And I'm excited for the opportunity. And we talked a little bit more about what I was doing in my business because I was brand new in my business. I've been doing it for 10 years, brand new in the business. And this man had been around a while. He introduced me to my first networking group that I absolutely adored. He is the reason why I joined the BNI community. Um, he introduced me to a man later who was a client, who introduced me to a client who did introduce me to a client. I can trace back about 19 generations of referrals back to this one conversation, back to this one man. Those 19 generations of referrals have, talk about lifetime value of a client. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 15 years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of the people that he introduced me to, I'm still working with. Like, it's that kind of power of the lifetime value of a client. Now, they're part of the reason why that conversation was so powerful. That conversation was so profitable. Let's just call it what it is. I'm still in connection with this man. When we see each other at events, it's hi, how are you? It's good stuff. He may not remember me as much as I remember him because it was such an impactful conversation. Not only to my bottom line, but looking back again, realizing I really screwed up. I purchased an ad that I shouldn't have been playing. Like, there was no reason for me to play in that magazine at all. That was not my ideal client at the other end of that. They were not even people I wanted to rub shoulders with. In the other advertisers were not even my people. But when I went in to pay the bill, now it would have been really easy to pay online and never show my face again and um, pretend like it didn't happen and just ignore it. But I chose to own it and go in and pay it in person. It's one of those things that can be determined by your persona, is when, how you accept mistakes and errors, when you wear them, when you take them off, when you stop sharing them. But here's what's really the critical key. My true persona, my ownership of my error, my intention of creating good relationships, like nurturing the ones that really matter and not spending any extra time and energy on the ones that don't. My showing up as this, yeah, I really screwed up. I'm a newbie. I own that. How can you help me? What can I learn from you? How can I show up in a way that is better? And speaking to this man with all of my personality, all of my personability, all that is true for me, owning the error, paying on time, making connections everywhere I go. Those are part of my value system. And it was an opportunity for my persona to come out in just full blast, totally cranked to 11. The ad didn't get direct results. The ad was out of alignment. The conversation got more than a decade and it's still growing. I'm still getting referrals. I'm still meeting people that are connected that way. It's still growing. The conversation was in alignment with my persona. The conversation was in alignment with my brand. I mean, even the ad itself, if we look at the design, yep, it was pretty. It doesn't look like me. Oh, my friend, if I could show you that ad now, very corporate, very blue, white, gray, very stern. So not me. And part of that is me just being a newbie and trying to be somebody I wasn't. Also out of alignment with my brand, also out of alignment with my core values. Where in your own life, where are you in your business? Where are you trying to show up like somebody else? There is no sustainability in that. There is no profit in that. There is no joy. There is no ultimate thrill in pretending to be someone you're not. There is nothing to gain from hiding who you really are. And honestly, I can look back at that and think, not only was it a lack of confidence that made me show up as somebody else, I was trying to play in a community that wasn't mine. I was trying to attract clients that weren't mine. I was so in the wrong sandbox on so many levels. I am so grateful that that ad didn't work, that it was such a tragic error that I went in, had the conversations, paid for it in full, in person, so I could look them. They knew it didn't work. They knew it wasn't. The ones who ran the ad are like, oh, I'm sure. But I wanted to be able to look them in the eye and own that. I am so glad that the ad didn't bring me a single phone call. It would have been the wrong community. It would Anybody who called from that ad would not have been meant for me. And yet, having that conversation with this lovely man that allowed me to bring everything that I am in that moment to that conversation, playing loud with purpose, that's where my success came in. That is what has led to 19 generations, hundreds of thousands of dollars, amazing friendships and relationships through business and personal. It came because that part was in alignment. So, depending on how you're looking at your errors, is it just a screw up? Do you apologize in the moment? When your legend response system is fully engaged and can say, what is in alignment with who I really am? Do I ignore the error? Do I pretend like it didn't happen? Do I fess up to it? Do I go, well, clearly it was somebody else's fault. They didn't run the ad in the right place. It was positioned wrong in the magazine. They didn't get it out to the people. I mean, blame shifting, totally a part of your legend response system. If that's what you do, or if that's what you don't do, it is an expression of your persona. It is a piece of your legend response system. So, how are you looking at your good steps, your bad steps? How are they reflecting your persona in the best possible, most aligned way? It's two tales of an ad gone very, very badly wrong. And I am so, so grateful that it didn't work. I'm so thrilled that my persona came through and kicked some serious butt. It's been an absolute joy of a ride, absolute thrill to meet these people and to experience it. Take a look at what you're doing today. How's your persona showing up? Is it in alignment with who you are? Are you trying to be somebody you're not? What are you hiding? Why? What are you sharing? Why? We'll get into that next time. I think maybe next time, join me next week. We're going to talk about why you're hiding some of the things you're hiding and why you're sharing some of the things you're sharing. But in the meantime, make sure your persona is showing up cranked to 11. It is one of the biggest gifts you can give to yourself, to your business, and to your community at large. Until I get to see you in person, give you a great big hug, stay safe and rock on.